to grow some herbs, grow some out on the open plot, of course, but also like to grow plenty in pots. Always handy to have a few herbs in pots, just for the windowsill or the patio, because you can grow them in patio containers or pots of any size. A few examples here. So I've got coriander, which I think you either love or loathe, but I love it. So it's great in curries and things. Very, very easy to grow and grows really well in pots. Got some basil here as well, and parsley, and a rosemary plant. Now most of these things you can grow from seeds. Rosemary you grow from cuttings, but certainly the basil, things like basil and coriander, I like to sow about once a month. The reason is that if you keep a succession coming through, so you've always got young plants coming through, they're much tastier, much more vigorous. If you keep the plants for too long, they tend to get woody, they try and flower, and then the leaf quality goes down, they're not quite so good. These particular ones, this is sweet basil, and that was sown most exactly a month ago, as was red basil, so it grows slightly slower, but so many different basils. There must be dozens of different sorts, all with a slightly different flavour. I've got lemon basil growing as well, which is lovely, and Thai basil, so you can grow a selection to add interest. And I'm going to sow a pot now. You can sow them in any size pot really, but rather than prick these out into individual plants, I tend to just sow the whole pot and grow them on as one. I don't bother splitting them up. So we've just got some ordinary multi-purpose compost in there, sweet basil in this instance. I'm just going to open up the packet and we'll sprinkle them just gently over the top. Now you don't want to sow them too thickly, otherwise they'll tend to rot. If you can't get air and light around them, then they'll rot. So just a very light sowing over the top. Takes a bit of practice. If you hold the seed packet up a little bit higher, they bounce and sort of spread themselves out, so you don't get them too close. There's plenty for a pot that size. And there's probably enough for almost the rest of the season in that one packet. Then all I do is sow a little bit of compost over the top. Very light layer of compost over the top there. That's it. Label it, give it a water, and early in the year I'd put them in a propagator, just gentle heat, about 60 degrees, until they germinate, and then obviously you've got to keep them frost free if you're sowing really early in the year. But really from June onwards, no heat at all, and you could sow them direct outside if you wanted to. If you didn't want to do them in pots, just sow them in rows outside, again nice and thinly. They'll grow quite quickly, as I say. Within a month you could be harvesting these, and you could either just go over them with some scissors and literally just chop off the top, or let them grow into bigger plants and harvest individual leaves. So that's basil. Parsley, do a very similar thing. And it germinates much better in trays than it does out in the soil. It can be quite hard to germinate outside, but in trays I just get a pinch of seeds, use a cell tray like this, just put a pinch of seeds in each cell, and then I'll grow those on as a single plant, as a single plug plant, and they're about ready for planting out now. And I find with parsley, if you put that outside, it's a hardy plant, it's a biennial, so it'll grow one year, flower and seed the next. And if you just leave them in place, quite often they'll seed, and the seeds will just fall around the old plants, the old mother plants, and come up again, and you never have to sow parsley again. It will just come up year after year.